Have we all? We got the light in the wrong spot. Yeah. All right, here we go. I think we're live. Let me see. Am I even on this shit? Oh, oopsies. Yep. Let me go check it out and see if I'm live or not. I think I am. I think I'm live. Don't worry about that horrible noise in the background. That's Revolution.Radio. I'm almost there. Mute that shit. All right, there we go. YOLO. Mofos. All for y'all. Would it be what it was like if it was like what it's supposed to be like? I think it is like that right now. What's up, Roger Goodman? Showing up good. All right, cool. We're just waiting on the bumpers from Revolution Radio to get done playing, and then we'll add them to the show and get rolling. Even though I already rolled earlier, so that's good. Fairbank, Alaska, it's minus 33. Brr. Frank Rizzo's in the house. Can you believe it? Good evening. They're going to bring you the latest on the ensuing takedown of the globalist order. I don't see that happening, or at least it hasn't been happening lately. The global order seems to be fine and dandy. And excuse my voice, we're all sick over here at the house. Somebody brought in one of those illnesses. And then the children were whining and crying for days, and teenagers hacking it up. Weird. Hoorah, right? Kentucky, it's 57. Everybody like to be in Kentucky. Salutations. I'm just joking. That was my Kentucky accent. I probably didn't do it right. You know what used to trip me out is like when compared to city living and then country living, which I've done plenty of both, how people give directions differently in the country versus in the city. You know, in the city, they'll be like, you want to go down here for a mile, take a left, take a right, take a left, go about 3/4 of a mile, and you'll see a big building. It's got a red flag outside of it, you know, and then you go out to the country and they're like, yeah, you go down there where that old barn used to be, you know what I'm talking about, where the Henderson lived. Well, they moved on. But where their barn used to be right there, you go back there, you know. And if you ain't from around there and you don't know what the hell they're talking about, you got to figure it out. I'm just joking. Not everybody in the country is like that. Wow, that just sounds horrible. I hope that don't sound like that to the viewers on the radio channel. I am muted, right? Oh, okay. Thank God. Thought I was giving the radio all of that shenanigans. What's up, Arsenal Rain, J Mac? Unacceptable, living in left field. How it do? Yeah, it's the intro music. That's correcto. I don't know what the delay is from me to YouTube, but I don't think it's as big as the delay to the radio station. Because usually when you guys are listening to my act, you're listening to the feed from the radio station instead of us like in a live conversation. So you guys are behind it. If we didn't do that, I couldn't push the buttons and play the commercials and all that stuff. All that whatnot-ing. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. It's almost done playing though. There it was. And welcome to Mountain High Time. This is your host, Ransom Godwin. And welcome to where the place is the same as the time. It's 4:20. That's what time it is in the Mountain High Time. I don't know what time it is for you, but it's partly cloudy here. And we're going to get into some cool news headlines. Well, I don't know if they're cool. It's just the ones that are out today, and see what this stoner has to say about it. I'm going to go in and check on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to join us over there and check out the chat, that's Mountain High Time on YouTube. Let me see here. Yep. Okay. There we're going. So I was going to look at the weather just a second out of my own curiosity. Whoa. Looks like everybody's drowning in Arkansas and Mississippi, Louisiana, in those parts. Lots of lightning out there in the Gulf. Doesn't look that bad for everybody else, but it looks like a bunch more rain's coming for California. And I know they don't really want it or need it, despite all the times that they were, crying about being in a drought. There's been plenty of snowpack this year and a lot of water. A lot of water. I don't know what they're going to do with all that water. Anyway, there's your weather outlook. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's good. It's good. What's the weather outlook for 420 TV and Mountain High Time? Well, the weather is good. Tough Titty said the kitty, but the milk's still good. But I don't know about in this case. Do we need to have a talk about lab-grown meat? Ugh. Now, this is a weird topic because, I don't want to kill animals either. However, I accept the fact that I'm an omnivorous hominid that spent millions of years probably eating meat. It's what made our brain get big. It's unfortunately for most people out there to accept you are somewhat of a predator in the animal kingdom. Matter of fact, we are the super predator, the top predator, the apex predator at this point. And why is that? I don't know. It might have been the big brain we got from eating all that barbecue. We eat a lot of barbecue. That's true. But in the future, do we have to eat the barbecue? I mean, can we barbecue animal-free meat alternatives beyond belief? I mean, beyond burgers. Or are we going to eat the crickets? Eat the bugs? How's your bugs tasting? I put barbecue sauce on them. They're very moist and delicious. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. You like your mammal sauce, J-Mac says in the chat there. Wow. I am not against the idea of maybe in the future, when they can solve the problems probably of cloning. And what I mean by that is that if they could create a unique natural type gene combination for animals that we eat, and then create an animal that does not have a brain, it's just a big, animal with no head, then you could eat some beef and chicken and pork and all that stuff and feel guilt-free. But until that time, and I don't even know, there will probably be some problems with that because that doesn't even sound good, right? I think the answer to this is that we just no longer feel guilty for eating meat. And how we do that is we go about treating the animals in which we eat with the utmost respect and comfort. And what I mean by that is allow them to live their natural lives as they were going to, out in the field without fear of being mistreated or, kidnapped and cut up in an inhumane fashion where the last bit of their life is filled with fear. However, that being said, that seems to be the way the meat that we've eaten for millions of years came to us after we chased it down, scared the crap out of it, beat it to death or stabbed it to death, and then either ate it raw or, depending on what time you're talking about, sauteed it or, back in the day, just put it on a spig over the fire and had some good barbecue. I'm sorry for all you vegan ears out there that don't like to hear this, but you have those bicuspid teeth in your mouth, and we have what's called those canine beautiful things there. Then I'm sorry, but our teeth are obviously designed to eat omnivorous things. But could you live in a world without meat? And I just seemingly don't think so. I think that's what powers our brain. I think that's what the food that we're made to eat is. No matter where you go in the world or what part of history, they was eating meat if they could. Now, do we have to make species go extinct to eat meat? Of course not. That's why we domesticated animals, so we could give them a good life. In theory, a whole life of, comfort, healthcare, love, until we eat them. Here's some unsolicited advice. Eat less meat. At Wired, I report on the impact our diets have on the environment. Greenhouse gases, emissions, i.e. farts, breathing, and, that stuff that comes out of the back of your car that the plants like to eat. That CO2 gasoline or gaseous farts are going to kill us. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I disagree with these people because obviously throughout history, I'm one of those nerds, that like dinosaurs and ancient man and all of that stuff. And, I never was on the environment studies side of that. I was more about the history and the existence of the animals and people that lived at that time. However, the environment and the weather and, all of that is really tied into whether or not there was animals or plants. And when we look back in the past, we look at the times that had the most CO2 on our planet or warmer times on our planet. We had a bunch of plants, man. There was more life on the earth. The more CO2 there is means the more plants there are. The more plants there are, the more food for animals. And obviously that means us, because if there's more animals, then there's more things for us to eat and maybe not go extinct, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's get back to their greenhouse gas fairy tale, and we can use the weird accent for this. Green gas emissions, water use, deforestation, all of those bad things. A lot of time I run into same conclusion compared to other source of protein. Meat, and especially beef, has an outsized impact on all of those things. So like I said, I eat the less meat. I buy my art where they do not sell bologna grease. I'm just joking. I added all that. But hold on a second. What if you could eat meat without the environmental hangups? So I guess the question for meat eaters is, what if you could eat meat without the murder, kill, death part of it? Would you eat that meat? I don't know if I would. In theory, I don't want to kill any animals. And if there was a way for me to eat completely vegetables and, be okay in the end, I would do it. But the truth is some people do eat a vegan diet that's high in protein, like people in India, like they cram down the lentils and all of that stuff. And people eat meat and cheeses, but that's still, those are animal proteins and fats in there. But the people that do eat those kind of diets, I'm sorry, you guys look like bean poles. And except for that one, weightlifter guy that eats massive amounts of protein, and he's had some health problems. But except for that dude, the rest of you guys look like bean poles. Literally, the thing that I guess you are what you eat, or maybe you look like a bean sprout. Anyway, not too healthy, not very muscular, or, the type of individual that might survive some kind of epic event on the earth. But I digress. Let's go. But hold on a second. What could you do if, you didn't have any environmental hangups? Well, I don't, obviously, now. I'm not worried about cow farts. But for some people, they are totally convinced and worried that the cow farts are going to kill the planet, and i.e. us, because we grow those animals. And, just like the nonsensical idea of cutting down the forest to, stop CO2 production, which is obviously idiotic because the trees are what, sucks up the CO2. But I digress again. Cultivated meat companies are really racing ahead of late. So far, they've raised close to $3 billion in venture capital. And this year, for the first time ever, in the U.S., 2 companies were cleared to sell cultivated meat to consumers. Several firms are working on giant factories to brew their cells. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about by now, we're talking about cloned meat that's grown in a lab from cells. Now, I don't know Does it still have a soul if you just grow an arm and put some barbecue sauce on it? I don't know. But just the whole idea of the people that create some of the other wonderful things like our medical industry products and things like that. I don't think I want these same type of people in control of my food systems, because they already have been. And that's where you get these things like excitotoxins in your food, plasticide ingredients, all kinds of other stuff that we probably shouldn't get into because we're also on YouTube, which, they ban everything. But I'm going to say big pass on this, or at least now. Like I said, maybe in the future when I'm like 80 and they can grow a cow without a head and his name is not like Steve or something, and they're like, it's not dying, but the meat still tastes good. Maybe then. But until then, I'm going to have to eat my Lotta Burger, double meat, double cheese with green chili, homie. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know why this article's out here. This is 9 deadliest spiders on Earth, but I guess we'll just go ahead and zip through it since it must have changed pages on me. And it looks like number 1 out of their 10, there's 10 pictures, nine spiders. Looks like the first one is our good old friend from the Southwest and all over the place. There's probably one of these guys under my chair right now, which is a black widow. And if you can look at that picture, if you can't over the radio, if you don't know what that looks like, it is a shiny, sleek, small, about 1 inch long black spider with a red hourglass. Now that's the female, and there is what's called a brown recluse. That's a competing poisonous spider. It's probably on this list too, but a lot of people don't know that there's also brown widows. In other words, they are black widows or a subspecies thereof that are brown. And sometimes people don't realize they're there, but these things can really jack you up, especially if you're allergic to this kind of stuff. But on top of that, even if you're not allergic, the black widow puts out some serious toxins there. So spiders are some of the most successful arthropods on the planet, having colonized every continent except for Antarctica. Not all of these 8-legged arachnids are venomous, but some can be deadly to humans. For the notorious black widow to the ultra-deadly funnel web spider, here are some of the deadliest spiders on Earth. Number 1, black widow. Let's see what this one. Number 2, a yellow sac spider. The yellow sac spider are in the family of this big old long word that I'm not going to try to pronounce, and they probably account for more human bites than any other type of spider. These arachnids are distributed all over the globe, from America to Northern Europe, South Africa, India, and even Australia and Japan. They're nocturnal predators, and during the day they hide in small white web cocoons. Mildly venomous to humans, the yellow sac spider can be painful and sometimes misdiagnosed as a brown recluse bite. Their venom can cause necrotic lesions, as well as redness, swelling, and sores around the bite area. Yuck. I'm not like arachnophobic. But I don't want them crawling on me. But, when I was a kid, I used to really hunt spiders down and watch them, look at them in a jar, and trip out on all the different species here. Let me see. Okay. Let's go to number 3, which is also some kind of widow. Oh, okay. Here we go. Like I was saying, brown widow spider. Number 3. Big O long name is the scientific name. For the brown widow spider, it looks similar to the infamous cousin, the black widow, right down to the hourglass-shaped markings on its abdomen. But there are some key differences. The brown widow's markings is orange and yellow rather than red. And their name suggests they predominantly have tan and brown molting and spiky rather than smooth appearances. Believed to originate in South America, the brown widow spider is found all over the world. The brown widow's venom is less toxic than that of its cousin. However, it can still be deadly. Although they don't deliver as much venom as the black widow, the brown widow's bite can still cause latrodictism due to its neurotoxic venom. symptoms of lactrodectism. I don't know how you say that word. Lactrodectism, maybe. Include pain, perspiration, muscle rigidity, and vomiting. Yay! Black widows' lives matter, and so do the brown recluse, evidently. The brown, oh, see, I'm messing up. It is the brown widow. But I've seen them that don't look anything like this. In fact, they look like this, but they're brown, and they don't have yellow and orange. So maybe that's a subspecies not listed here. Red widow spider, living mostly in the sand dunes of central and southern Florida. The red widow is another notorious widow family. Their venom is just as lethal as the brown and black widows, but as they live far from human contact, there has been no recorded bite in medical literature. Let's see here. Where are we? Why is it zooming in and out on me? Sorry, the screen was wigging me out here because it keeps moving. Where were we? Rather than an hourglass, a dominum with yellow rings around red dots, rather than that, like its cousins, the red widow usually has one or two red marks. Stupid. There we go. That's a pretty trippy spider. All right. Oh, this one, the redback spider. This page is tripping me out. The zoom, it keeps going in and out. Due to its strikingly similar appearance to the redback spider, Latrodectus was once thought to be a subspecies of the black widow spider, but it is a distinct species. I'm sorry, look at the page. Look at it, it's rolling on me. Man, we're going to have to skip this, man. Just skip to the names because the page is giving me psychedelic effects. It won't stop zooming in and out on me. Anyway, let's see here. The red spider. Nothing. The funnel web spider. We all know about those in Australia. You guys have all the good stuff over there. Six-eyed sand sniper. No, I'm just joking. He's not a sniper. He's just a spider. And that one's cool. The mouse spider. You know what? If the page wouldn't wigged out, I would have got more in that. But I don't even remember opening this one. We're having a complete computer freeze flash shutdown. Isn't that wonderful? We're just going to take a break until the computer responds. And I'm going to go over here to the chat room, see what's going on. Nancy West, redback on the toilet seat, mate. Oh, no, that does not sound good. Why, mate, you ever wrestle with a wallaby in the winter? Or you just sit around tickling your roo? All spiders are venomous. No, actually, I just read that 2 seconds ago that not all of them are venomous. Or maybe just not venomous to us, huh? So, I love the computer meltdown here, so we're just going to do this number here. Control Alt Delete. Yes, end it. End the suffering of this frozen browser. We're going to sacrifice all of the browser and see if we can get it going again here. It does not like me today. There we go. Restore our session, mate. Yeah, that didn't even sound good. Hey, maybe our spider. Yeah, it stopped wigging out. That's cool. All right, now we can get back to the spiders. Where were we? We were back over here, weren't we? On this one. The redback spider, due to its strikingly similar appearance, the redback spider was once thought to be a subspecies of the black widow spider, but it's a distinct species also known as the Australian black widow. You can find this creepy crawly throughout Australia, Southeast Asia, New Zealand, and the redback spider has been found in Japan, the United Arab Emirates, and Belgium due to inadvertent introductions. Highly venomous. The bite from a female red spider can be life-threatening, using its fangs to inject a complex venom that causes intense pain to the bite area, in addition to sweating and goosebumps. As time goes on, these symptoms worsens, and there may be also redness and swelling, as well as nausea, muscle twitching, headache, and fever, Respiratory failure may occur in several cases. Thankfully, in 1956, scientists released a redback spider antivenom, which is very effective even when used several weeks after the initial bite. No deaths have been reported since. Now that's awesome. Redback. Ooh, we got a virgin in the chat there. And I'm showing the wrong window. So you guys don't even get to look at that spider. No, I'll fix that. Wow. That was really trippy. So let's just add this now that my computer's awake again. Sweet. All right, there we go. And the next on the list is the funnel web spider. Normally, in the world of spiders, it's the female that's more deadly, but the funnel web spider, let me get this a little bigger so I can see it. The tiny little print there. I hate when they put the small print. Anyway, normally in the world of spiders, the female's the deadly one, but for funnel web spiders, Atrax, the male has the more toxic bite. Any attack must be treated quickly with antivenom, especially if your child has been bitten. There have been several recorded fatalities due to the venomous bites of the funnel web spider, with death occurring within the hour after being bitten. However, since the development of the antivenom in 1981, there haven't been any more recorded deaths. Predominantly located in Southeast Australia, Sydney, funnel web spiders are also found in New Zealand, Chile, and Europe. Interesting, animals such as cats and dogs can actually survive a funnel web bite. It takes about 30 minutes for their body to neutralize the toxin. It's just humans who have such severe reaction. The venom affects nervous systems and causes symptoms such as elevated heart rate, numbness, tingling to the mouth, and difficulty breathing. Kind of like a dab. Next on the list, number 7, six-eyed sand spider. Found in the deserts of South Africa. I'm kidding. Excuse me. Let me take some stutter medication here and we'll fix all of that. Where'd it go, man? Oh well, we'll have to skip the medicine. This one is the six-eyed spider. And let's see here. We're in southern Africa. The six-eyed spider. And I'm never going to try to pronounce that giant name. You guys can do that. Hexoplavmala. Honey. Buries itself in the sand to ambush unsuspecting prey. The small, stiff hairs that cover the spider help to hold sand particles in place, adding to its camouflage. It's otherwise known as the six-eyed crab spider due to its crab leg. It's got crab legs, mate. This one looks pretty gnarly right here. The mouse spider, black in color with stocky, thick legs and distinctively bulbous head and jaw regions. The mouse spider, Missolulina, looks a lot more frightening than its name sounds. One species is located in Chile, another in South America, and the rest distribute throughout Australia. They live in the soil-covered burrows, popping up their hinged trap door to attack their prey. That doesn't sound too deadly. I just don't like the black widows because they get in your shoes, man. And here's number 9 is also the black widow. That doesn't even make sense, man. I don't think their number system's right. Did you guys know that we were just blowing up the whole world? And the only reason I bring this up is because most of my audience knows I've been talking about we're going obviously into a worldwide conflict. There's really not much that you can argue when it comes to this. It seems that every quadrant or third of the Trilateral Commission's, reign on the earth there is in combat right now. U.S. strikes at least 85 targets in Iraq and Syria, including from B-1 bombers. Now, do you remember back in the day, I don't know, when I was younger, I thought I remembered that presidents would at least get a declaration of war before we just went to war with everyone and anybody all the time. But it seems like with our proxy war there in the Ukraine, what we have going on in the Middle East from the Gaza Strip all the way over now to Iran's borders. Obviously, they're going to include Iran in that. These are the 7 nations that General Gates talked about, knowing that we were going to invade back in the year 2000. And the Project for a New American Century knew that we needed some kind of new Pearl Harbor event that killed at least 3,000 something people so that they could start invading these countries. And, thinking that the American people are stupid, obviously. We already had troops on the ground in Afghanistan building pipeline. And, in Iraq, we rolled right in there and started bombing. Now, I have no idea what either one of those actual countries had anything to do with 9/11. However, we went to war anyway, didn't we? It was Osama bin Laden, they said. But for some reason, we went and killed Saddam Hussein. It was Osama bin Laden. But you know what? We might as well take out Gaddafi too, right? It was Saddam Hussein. How about we go invade Afghanistan, have a 2-decade-long combat situation that kills thousands of Americans, and then just leave $81 billion worth of equipment there for them for the next round, which is basically what's going on in Mexico, right? Fast and Furious #2, where these cartels are just popping up with massive amounts of American-made weaponry. And weirdly, I had something else on this topic, but these web pages, you open them up, you have to save them or they change. Talking something about Apple. I don't care. I don't even have an Apple. Let's get back to what we're talking about, which is a worldwide combat situation for just every last little kid. Have your kid be the first to come home in a box from Ukraine or the Middle East over what? Did we declare war? Why are we bailing out other countries? Why are we bombing countries? Well, because we're used as the world police for this new world order system. And weirdly, the American people are basically the last ditch hope for freedom on the planet. Now, you might laugh. You might have laughed a little bit to yourself when I said that. But I'll tell you why. It's because in the U.S., we own a lot of guns. We have a history, a genetic memory, if you will, of a civil war already. We also have genetic memory of a revolution where the American people that weren't quite American people yet, I guess, not at least United States American people, but in the Americas, decided that they had enough with tyranny. Allegedly. At least that's the story. But for the first time in the entire world, we wrote down on paper that God, or your creator, gives us inalienable rights that can't be taken away from the government because the government didn't give them to us. Now, nowhere else has this been done really in the way that it's been done here. Not at the time and not since. A lot of people have kind of copied it. But now when we look around the world, do we see more freedom than back then, or do we see less? What I see is an entire European Union where spying and basically the Stasi now go around door to door, and you can go to jail for your opinion online. It's so much more than those authoritarians of the World War II era could even dream of. But they got their plan, and we have a euro now, and now it's a secret, police state where they sit around deciding who they're going to arrest. And now this combat situation is spreading. And the reason being is that people realize what's going on now. The population's no longer stupid. So here in the United States, being this last vestige of freedom, and the reason why is because here we have the right to free speech. Although the government tries to tell us here that we don't, we continue to, march on like we do. We keep talking, we keep writing, we keep making videos, we keep speaking, we keep fighting lawsuits. All of these things are continually happening here about free speech. And then you have the Second Amendment and the Third Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. Now, reality says we don't really have those amendments anymore but only a ghost of what they once were. Like, for example, the Third Amendment, not to have soldiers quartered in your home. Well, what's the difference if they can just come in your home and claim extingency or whatever they say? I probably didn't say that word right. But just come in your home because they say they heard something in your house. But even if you don't count that, you must realize that there are multiple devices in your home that are spying on you right now by third parties and the government, even though, we had the whole revelations with Edward Snowden, et cetera, et cetera. You thought that they were going to stop. They didn't. They just kept doing it. And now they do it even more. So in a sense, you have soldiers that live, for all intents and purposes, in your home. They're listening. They're watching. They're copying every keystroke that you make, every website that you look at, every post that you read. It's tracking your eyes, especially if you have a camera on it. And some of the screens can be reversed. Software can be used to make your screen a camera itself. Anything that puts out infrared, like your phone sitting around taking thousands, millions of pictures of you daily, trying to find out what you're doing, where you're going, who you talk to, what are you saying. And people forget that we live in that technological era. So I would say to you that you no longer have the Fourth Amendment because you have no privacy. You no longer have the Third Amendment because people are quartered in your home listening and eavesdropping to everything that you say if they want to. Now, you might say to yourself, well, I'm not that important. I don't have anything to hide. Well, that's just your vagina talking. I'm sorry. That's what that is. It doesn't matter if you have anything to hide. They shouldn't be looking. You shouldn't have to explain yourself. You shouldn't have to use the Fifth Amendment to protect yourself so that people don't prosecute you for your views. Now, they don't have that all over the world. They're throwing people away for, dumb reasons. But here in the United States, you see the pieces moving in the long term. They have a problem with the Second Amendment. They have a problem with so many millions of Americans being able to defend themselves, not only against thugs that might come into their home and try to harm them or take their things, but they also have enough ammunition and firearms and ex-military and, just good old boys and plenty of people that know how to stage combat if it came to that. Now, God hoping that would never happen, but they know that. So that's why they have to get rid of us incrementally, slowly, by taking our constitutional rights away. Now, part of that Second Amendment was having a well-regulated militia. Now, the authoritarians of today would like you to believe that means that the government should regulate your militia. No, indeed, that's not even close to the idea. Actually, a well-regulated militia, meaning that you and your kinfolk and your next door neighbors and the people across the street and the people across town are all armed and know how to use their weapon. They know how to use their gun, and they are well regulated, meaning that they continually to know how to defend where they live at all times. That's well regulated. A militia of one, a militia of two. And, think about the idea of a militia. Militias are started at any time for any reason throughout history. And the whole idea that our country is now saying that we don't condone violence while we bomb 85 targets in another land for some reasons, who knows, some banker reasons, I'll tell you that. They can come up with as many excuses as they want, but we know that it's the central banks that decide who gets bombed. They decide how we're going to redistribute everything and how we're going to move forward. And whoever runs them, I don't know. Nobody does. But there's a weird phenomenon going now where our government would love to call its people insurgents like they're doing all over the place in the other world. And this January 6th milquetoast, made for TV, fed, inspired event, I'm going to call it that, was so fake. But the whole reason for it is so that they could call you an insurgent. And right when they come up with this bill, right? You guys realize the Democrats were coming up with a bill to basically ban the militia, which would be an unconstitutional law, obviously, considering that is listed in the Constitution. Now, what they're going to have to do is have a constitutional Congress in order to change the Constitution. And they're going to say that they need to do it for this reason or that reason. But it doesn't matter what reason it is. It's a way for these thugs that are in office, these criminals, crooks, betrayers, traitors, and, you know, you might think that that sounds harsh, but if you look at any one of them from the right or the left of the uniparty, they don't have your best interest in heart. They don't care what the law says. They don't follow the Constitution. They don't care about their oaths of office. They promised, you know, that they would uphold the Constitution and defend it from all enemies, foreign and domestic. But they flip that around to try to mean that the people are the enemy of the Constitution, when obviously that is preposterous. But now we live in, you know, the modern times, so they get to call you an insurgent. They get to name half the people as, you know, suspected, you know, bad guys now. That's what we're doing here. And then right when they try to pass this weird bill to get rid of militias while we flood the border, while they, you know, continually give you predictive programming about a civil war, then this guy pops up. Doesn't make any sense. It seems like a TV show. It seems like a movie. Chilling new details emerge in murder of dad beheaded by son who showed head on YouTube. Law enforcement have confirmed that Justin Mon bought a handgun the day before. See, like, what does that have to do with it? When he bought it, he used it. That's what the point is. So, but they want to make sure to word this in a certain way. So pay attention. Law enforcement have confirmed that Justin Moen bought a handgun the day before he shot his father and then decapitated him before showing off the bloody head in a gruesome YouTube video. Police have revealed that Justin Moen bought the gun the day before. See, now we've said this twice. And he allegedly murdered his father, showed his decapitated head on YouTube. Damn, I never catch these live. I mean, was it a live show? I don't know. Anyway. Major update, police revealed Moen used the gun to shoot his father in the head before cutting his head off and making a ranting video. They also revealed the 32-year-old son was arrested hours later, about 100 miles away, where he had broken into a state National Guard facility. He was armed with a 9mm Sig Sauer handgun that had one missing round. You like all the nonsensical details, that doesn't really matter. What matters is this weirdo, if it happened, is a nut, and he killed his father. And down here it says the reasons that he killed his father, because supposedly his father worked for the Army Corps of Engineers and was a big Biden supporter. So this guy allegedly, you know, because he's what is it, Moen's Militia, and you'll see this word militia just all up in this. It just seems like a made-for-TV event to me, almost like January 6th. Now, I'm not saying it's fake. Not at all, but I am saying that it's bizarre that the predictive programming has reached so many people that you're about to see all the nuts come out. Weird, man. Anyway, so this is supposed to be like he wanted to send a message to, you know, all of the supposed right-wingers to stand up. Obviously, any normal person, any patriot, any person that has that actual idea in their head of fundamental freedoms, individual rights, etc., A, would never be murdering somebody. B, most of the time, you know, if they're in a militia, it's like a club, a group. Now, some people do go out and actually, you know, run around, do some training, little PT, little target shooting. But for the, you know, vast majority of the people that I've ever met in a militia, they were combat veterans from one of the world wars that we have. Not the World War, but like, you know, ex-Korea vets, ex-Vietnam vets. And nowadays, most of those people are disappearing. And now it's Gulf War and, you know, everything that happened after 9/11. Now I have people that are younger than me that are coming back, you know, for already here for a decade, and they're a combat veteran. And it really makes your head spin when you see this whole idea just pop up randomly. This guy, like almost like if he got a phone call, hey, you know what? We're trying to outlaw those militia guys. But if you've been really paying attention for the past 20 or 30 years, you've been realizing that this is a strategic, incremental set up to destroy Americans. And what I mean by that is if you go back to Waco, I know a lot of people think that, whatever they think about that. But right shortly after that, the Oklahoma City bombing happened. And then you get players entering the scene like Eric Holder and, Hillary Clinton and all of these characters that are rising to the tops of the power of the government structure right there. And preemptively, this is long before Homeland Security and 9/11, Bill Clinton went after all of the militias to take most of their ammunition away. Now, in between that, during the Obama administrations, if you remember, the federal government was arming itself. They were buying up all the ammo. I don't know if because most people are goldfish. And then we had the Fast and Furious episode, which busted the Obama administration selling to street gangs in the U.S., Mexican cartels, and then it just went away. Nobody went to jail. No problem. No big deal. And then now you're looking in Mexico seeing well-armed cartels with Kevlar, helmets, 203s, RPGs. They got those AK-47 lookalikes, the ones that are made over here. And then you see M4s and all of this other stuff. And we're not talking that stupid AR-15 thing that everybody's trying to ban. These are actual M4s, the whole platform. I've seen some brand new, gear. They have nice sights. They have infrared. They're building armored trucks. But people just aren't getting that the combat zone is coming to you. And that's what this whole thing on the border is. It seems like if there ever was a false flag going to occur, they would do it there. And think about the volatility of the situation that you have there. You have this predictive programming of the right versus the left, the red versus the blue. And then they continually talk about civil war and how separated we are and how blah, blah, blah. And then they have this border crisis, which if you've been studying, you'll know that there are other parties there besides people coming in and the Border Patrol and whoever with the Texas and the convoys and all of that. You have all of these different players, but you also possibly have people like ISIS, Hezbollah, the Chinese intel governments. You might have Russian people. You might have Cubans coming in. We've been looking at the people coming in. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from China. They are coming from Cuba and Venezuela and all of these places. But are they coming as state-sponsored actors? Well, nobody knows, and nobody's looking because they don't care. Because I hate to tell you, they are floating the boat, or flushing the toilet, I should say, on what's going on here. And that's what all of this whole thing seems to be set up to be doing, is one big psyop using real things. Just like you remember the other day, poor Zuckerberg lost his whole fortune, but don't worry, he's back with $28 billion after this morning after Meta stock makes record surge. Did that really happen, or are they just moving money around? We don't even know down here, the peasants. We don't even know how real any of this stuff is. Like, does this seem real to you? Co-founder of a private equity firm explains why he acquired Pornhub. Solomon Friedman is one of the new owners of Pornhub. He's an attorney and a rabbi. Some reports say he's a former rabbi. His private equity firm took over MindGeek, the umbrella company of the virtually every porn site. He vowed to save Pornhub from ruin and make it a better place. What he means by a better place might not be what most people think is better, though. It's a whole lot of porn. And you might ask yourself, what do you mean? A rabbi bought the porn? What? That's like, Joel Osteen. You find out Joel Osteen, or, somebody that all of those people think is a super Christian. And then you find out, he owns Pornhub, man. He's all into that porn stuff. Now that sounds exactly what a preacher or a rabbi or somebody that really, is into spiritual enlightenment would buy, so that every other person out there is, destroyed by obviously an addictive, a psyop like free internet porn. Come on. You can't tell me that they've been running those porn sites for like at least a decade now, with no filters, no protections. So any kid, any person with addiction, any of that stuff could just instantly go online and use up all of their, fluids with their computer friend. And then wonder why they can't get along with their mates at home. They're like, but you don't do all those fantastical things, and you do all this talking, and I got to buy stuff and listen to you talk, and geez. Now you got a whole generation of guys that think that making love is, 2.5 minutes in front of the keyboard. And not only that, there's plenty of studies that prove that it destroys your mind to watch that. It's unrealistic, for one. Well, for some people, it's unrealistic. It's not like it's fake. I mean, it's not like it's real. Have you seen most of the porn queens without their makeup in their normal state? And just the whole idea. And they moved it, kind of just regular men on women doing stuff to really extravagant things, and then offer it along with gangster rap and, all of these other ideas for several decades, and then throw the rainbow at them. Let's barf the rainbow on them and make everything weird again. It's constant psyops. And then when you find out who are running these things, well, those are the same people that are claiming to be spiritual and holy and good people. I'm just a good porn owner. I'm just throwing that porn site. Don't worry about it. It'll save your soul. Now, I don't really have nothing against a free person being able to choose to do that and go plug one out or, flick the bean or whatever you got to do. But you have to remember that if you constantly are doing that to a fake idea, well, you're going to run out of the real juices that it takes to have a real relationship with real people. Just like regular television, it does the same thing, but obviously to a more fluid conclusion. But when you look at television programs, now I'm a cinephile myself. I've watched lots of movies. And I just ran into a wall with them. I try to watch them now, and you can see the predictive programming. The writers are crap. There's no plot. There's no storyline. There's no new ideas coming out. It's a bunch of weird leftists pretending to be normal people like you and I, while when they get off of work and stop pretending to be you because they know that you relate to people like you, and then they go talk crap about you all day long about, like, well, you guys are flyover country. You're racist. You're dumb. You're a redneck. Even though they're the only people that bring you like 90% of the racism, hate, and other destructive ideas come from those exact same people. And think about the professions that they have. They are actors. Their job is to lie to you. They get paid to lie. So why would you ever believe any of these people that are in these entertainment industries knowing for a fact that they're on face a liar? A pretender. And now it's got so bad that they are setting up laws where you have to pretend with people. And if you don't pretend with them, you could go to jail. So does that sound like a more free world to you, or a less free one? Sounds like a less free world to me. Anyway, let's move on. Pro-Native American activists fighting to save indigenous traditions in nationwide war against wokeness. Hallelujah. Grassroots rebellion against cancel culture surges from coast to coast, fighting an anti-American movement. Maybe they're talking about the Redskins, probably. From coast to coast, wokeness is facing a rebellion. Communities are fighting to reclaim their local heritage after cancel culture rampage in recent years eviscerated Native American images, nicknames, tributes, in hundreds of schools nationwide. We're actually fighting an anti-American movement. Lisa Davis, a pro-Native American activist in Cedar City, Utah, told Fox News Digital. The people they are trying to erase, or excuse me, I said that wrong. The people trying to erase Native American culture are the same people trying to remove Thomas Jefferson and bashing American heritage. Davis and other Cedar City residents formed the grassroots organization Voice of Iron Country Education, after the school board voted to eliminate the high school's traditional red man name and logo in 2019. Sorry, I hit the mute button. Anyway, I was an honor to be called a red man. It was an honor to be called red man. Julia Casus, a full-blooded Navajo and graduate of Cedar City High School, told Fox Digital. The silversmith said that she tells visitors at the family shop Navajo Crafting Company, "I am red man through and through." The school's nickname is now the Reds. Oh, well, that's a big difference. You totally fixed that, guys. Way to wake up and be woke. Anyway, Native American group that wanted Redskins removed is funded by Soros Foundation and other leftist organizations. Yet the irony of a new name is not lost on Cedar City residents. We went from honoring centuries of American and Native American history to honoring communism, said Davis. The people trying to erase Native American culture are the same people trying to remove Thomas Jefferson and bashing American heritage. Eunice Davidson, Dakota Sioux, and president of the Native American Guardians Association, NAGA. That's right. You heard that right. You heard of MAGA? Now it's NAGA. We ain't going to leave you alone. We're going to NAGA until you figure it out. NAGA, N-A-G-A, that's the Native American Guardians Association. So listen up to what the NAGAs have to say. It's terrible injustice to these communities. She and others claim that decisions to remove Native American images, nicknames, and logos made by local school boards, which are often under pressure from well-funded outside forces. The decisions never have popular support, and Davidson, whose organization is based in North Dakota, the taxpayer is being shunned, and the school boards don't care anymore. It's Marxism, and it's taking over school boards. The grassroots group Voice claims that 79% of local residents voted to support the red man in recent Change.org survey. Battles all across the country, communities around the nation are waging similar battles. Activists killing. No activists were killing. Activists in Killingly, Connecticut are fighting to reclaim the town's red man tradition after it was trampled by a state mandate to wipe out its own Native American legacy. Cambridge, New York has taken its fight to save its beloved Indians tradition to the courts after the Board of Regents announced a plan to trample Native American history across the Empire State. Local residents recently voted 2 new pro-Native American candidates onto its school board, including Iroquois' Dylan Honyost. Anyway, we're coming up on the hour, the break time hour, right here in just a minute. So let me put that down. Oh, wrong one. Talking to myself. Don't worry about it, radio people. Or you guys on YouTube, and I hope you're having a good time. Let's check in the chat and see what you guys think of a stoner rambling. I'm just kidding. What's going on? Unacceptable living. Using a rolling machine. Wear them out. Puff, puff, pass. Sassafras likes it salty. Whatever that means. I must have missed something. I used to smoke Marlboro Reds. I'm a cowboy. No, I'm just joking. I used to smoke Reds, and then I went to the 27s, and I just thought, you know what? It's just not enough. I'm going to have a cigar. Speaking of which, it's about that time to take a break. So I hope all y'all out there in radio land, go pee, go poop, take your bowl, pack your bowl, smoke your bowl, whatever you got to do. Smoke them if you got them. Come on back. Anyway, it's now 6:57 Mountain High Time, and you're listening to Revolution.Radio. This is Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin, and we will be back in approximately 5 minutes. Well, at least, for them. Now, if I can find a lighter, I'll be here. Anyway, so I'm going to play you guys a commercial. It's probably the wrong one, but we'll do it anyway. And I'll be back in just a second.
Today, the demand for gold continues to flourish globally. History proves that fiat paper money is designed to go to zero through inflation, whereas gold has intrinsic value in which it maintains forever. Paper money is a debt instrument. Gold is an asset of wealth in its own right. It does not depend upon any governments, corporations, or individuals' promise to repay. ITM Trading has spent the last 27 plus years developing a team of expert researchers and analysts to make this possible. Simply put, we build strategies which are historically proven to protect your wealth and assets through any economic downturn or currency collapse. Schedule your free gold and silver strategy call 866-834-1422. That's 866-834-1422, or go to learn.itmtrading.com/MIAC and keep watching Mountain High Time and Mini Ice Age Conversations if you know what's good for you.
Imagine, if you will, a glimpse into the possible outcome of a million mistakes. What you are about to watch is a nightmare. It is not meant to be prophetic. It need not happen. It's the fervent and urgent prayer of all men of goodwill that it never shall happen. But in this place, in this moment, it does happen. In the midst of it comes unexpectedly over the phone the announcement of the President of the United States, the warning from the very top declaring a state of emergency of suspected enemy missiles approaching. It's anyone's guess where they might land. What city will be obliterated? How many could be lost? And last but not least, will it be me? Will it be my family, friends, my square inch on the map? Minutes go by and nothing. Right as you exhale a breath of relief, an instant wave of horror treks down your spine and a sinking feeling in the pits of your stomach. Just then the power goes out. The only light you see is the glow of your phone. Shining in your face, the icons of terror. Low battery, and even more frightening, the symbol for connection to information and loved ones gone. You try the landline in your office, desperate to contact family. Nothing at all, just a bone-chilling empty silence. Panic-stricken, you blindly forage for your car keys. Success. Something in this nightmare of a day has gone right. Now it's a desperate mad dash for your car. Your mind now in a near intellectual paralysis. Logic a struggle as you cope with a Gatling gun barrage of horrific ideas of what your family might be going through in this very moment. Miraculously, your car starts and you begin your seemingly apocalyptic drive to locate your kin. As you pass the first stop sign, the sight of civic decay is already bearing its nasty head as you speed past fights in the streets, looting, and a complete halt of any semblance of an evolved civilization. To your right, a large fire. As angry, fear-filled citizens with their arms full of grocery items run from what used to be your local food market, ran by a mom and pops couple, now collapses into a bonfire of dreams. Because of the commotion, your attention span has been stolen. Now before your automobile is a violent crowd. They have now surrounded your car, banging on the metal, bashing at the glass, screaming incoherently. What just a second ago was the road to salvation, now a deadly trap of circumstance and fear blocking your escape. This can't be happening, repeatedly echoing in your head as you start to mumble the phrase in a shrieking, inaudible, childlike tone to yourself. The trepidation now filling your lungs like a poison fog, suffocating and smothering in its certainty. Just then, as your heart and soul seem to be having synergistic perturbations, an alarm blares, overwhelming your senses. Immediately you recall the warning of missiles. You close your eyes and expect the end. But the alarm morphs into a sweet, familiar beckoning of your alarm clock. You open your eyes and switch off the welcoming timepiece. A warm filling of relief as you realize your family is safe in their beds, and no pending doom is written in the stars today. For a split second, you ponder the poor people of your vision, and it reinforces your confidence that you have already prepared for the any scenario. You have peace of mind your children will eat and thrive, because you invested in their future to give some stability if any break in the normality of life happens. You invested in heaven's harvest. The you in this story was a fictional you, but do you get the feeling something unthinkable is going to happen soon? I sure do. The problem is we probably won't see it coming. One morning you'll wake up and the world will be a much different place. Don't panic, prepare. Smart folks are investing in emergency food now. A wise man once said, "It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it." Heaven's Harvest is the nation's leader in emergency food storage. It's the only investment you get 100% of your money for, even better than gold. Survival experts recommend the 3-month emergency food kit. Go to heavensharvest.com. Use the code ADAPT at checkout and save a mind-blowing 15%. Is already bearing its nasty head as you speed past fights in the streets, looting and a complete halt of any semblance of an evolved civilization. To your right,
Thanks for listening while we took the short break, man.
Citizens with their arms
What are you guys talking about there? Looks like James Ortiz has a food channel that I didn't know about. Put the link in the description box, man. I mean in the chat. Hold on.
Because of the commotion, your attention span has been stolen.
And welcome back to Revolution.Radio. This is Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin, back for the second hour, where the time and the place are the same. Mountain and high, and it's the time. If you like listener-supported radio, that being the key factor there, listener-supported, think about giving a donation to Revolution.Radio because, like I said, it is supporting free speech and all of the various hosts and shows that come on and get to speak pretty much freely. Think about the donating there on the page. At the top of the page, I believe they have a Patreon link. And if you'd like to help this channel, I believe I put the link in the description. Yeah. That's the blue one down there. You guys know what it is. And help me stay on the air because this is basically my job, man. Well, I mean, I do a lot of work for money, but this ain't it. Anyway, the commercials are still running. Are they? They don't look like they're running to me. You might be back in time. What's up, J Mac? Everybody there in the chat. If you'd like to join the Mountain High Time chat, feel free to go over to Mountain High Time on YouTube and join the various crazy people in there. I'm just joking. They're not crazy. They're good people. It's the best chat on YouTube. I'll tell you that. Let's get back into the news. As we were talking about, pro-Native American activists fighting to save indigenous traditions in nationwide war against wokeness. I think there should be a lot bigger war against wokeness than they really have. And I thought this was funny here. Dr. Phil visits the open southern border. Humanitarian crisis unlike anything he's ever seen, according to him. And this is, I guess it's also on Zero Hedge. And then we have this Slovakia prime minister orders investigations into the big C word of the year of 19 afterwards. Or was it 2020? I don't know. Seemingly, a bunch of people, died in Slovakia for some reason. So they're going to do an investigation into that reason. And I can't say what it is because I have a YouTube channel, so we're just going to skip it. But you know what it is. Border Patrol pulls 70 illegals from El Paso storm drain right to the south of me here in El Paso. And the weird thing about this is people are getting lost in these tunnels underneath Juarez, El Paso, coming from all over the world. And some of the coyotes just leave them in there because they didn't pay. And, I guess this is better than being stuck in the back of a semi-trailer and smothered to death. However, think about it, 70 people underneath the feet. According to this, dozens of illegal aliens were discovered in a storm drain in West Texas near the Mexican border this week, according to authorities. On Wednesday, the U.S. Border Patrol, USBP, apprehended a massive group caught entering the country illegally via drainage tunnels in the latest bust of its kind. But what did they do with them afterwards? They put them on a bus, they gave them some money, and they send them on their way. Don't worry about it. If you'd like to join, don't worry about it. This is a good video I thought you guys might want to watch. It's on InfoWars. It's called Conflicting Pole Shift Agendas Between the East and the West. And it basically breaks down all the stuff that's going on in Europe right now from the farmers' aspect of things. And pro-Native American activists kind of proves we definitely are in a worldwide conflict. I think there should be a lot bigger war against wokeness than they really have. And I thought this was funny here. Dr. Phil visits the open southern border. Humanitarian crisis unlike anything he's ever seen, according to him. And this is, I guess, also on Zero Hedge. Sounds like there's a super echo going on for some reason. Prime Minister orders Sorry about that. I know you guys can't hear it on the radio, but we'll fix it for YouTube. What is going on there? Afterwards, or was it 2020? I don't know. Seemingly, a bunch of people, died in Slovakia for. I don't know where that extra sound's coming from. So they're gonna do an investigation into that reason. And I can't say what it is because I have a YouTube channel. So no, it's not my headphones. But you know what it is. It's an echo. Border Patrol plus pulls somewhere illegals from El Paso storm drain right to the south of me here in El Paso. And the weird thing about this is
Start over.
people are getting lost in these tunnels underneath Juarez, El Paso.
Wow.
Coming from
They don't hear it on the radio, but there's super echo going on. And I've already closed everything, so I don't know what's going on
You know,
there.
I guess this is better than being stuck in the back of a semi-trailer and smothered to death. However, think about it. 70 people underneath the feet. According to this, dozens of illegal aliens were discovered in a storm drain in West
What is
Texas near
going
the Mexican border
on?
this week, according to authorities. On Wednesday, the U.S. Border Patrol, USBP, apprehended a massive group caught entering the country illegally.
Where
via
is it
drainage
coming
tunnels
from?
in the latest bust of its kind. But what did they do with them afterwards? They put them on a bus, they gave them some money, and they send them on their way. Don't worry about it. If you'd like to join,
What is going on?
this is a good video. I thought you guys might want to watch. It's on InfoWars.
I found it. It was Rumble. Oh, God, that was crazy. All right. Well, there we are. I turned off everything. Let me see if we could reinstall what was going on. Oh, by the way, you can go watch on Rumble with that nightmare that just happened. So for you radio listeners, I had to stop because there was like 10,000 me's going on. Crazy. There we go. That was just nuts. So I think it's fixed there. Let me check the chat and see what's going on now. No, that one didn't open. Okay, we got to redo that one. That was some crazy stuff. There was like 10,000 of me and a super echo coming from Rumble, I guess. Well, I am a one-man show. Sorry about that, folks. Let me go back over here and check out the chat room and see what you poor people that had that wonderful audio experience. You're welcome. I gave it to you. And then we'll get back to our story here. Wowzers, man. All right, there it is. It's artificial unintelligence, man. It was a cam looking into a cam looking into a cam. Oh, my God. That was just crazy. All right, let's go back over here and check out what's going on. This is an article from Florida that I was tripping on. Officials, 3 dead after plane crashes into Florida mobile home park. And the only reason I really find this upsetting is because I live not far from an airport, a small airport that has these type of planes on it that just fly over nonstop. Not to mention all the military traffic, but specifically, I have a small, I guess it's the city airport. And these little planes fly over where I live all the time, and I think about this constantly. Is one of these guys that's going to dive down into my house when I'm just sitting in here doing something like doing a radio show, doing a YouTube show, and then boom. Because it sounds like sometimes it has. But anyway, sucky for these people. It says Clearwater, Florida, a plane crashed Thursday night, left 3 people dead, according to fire officials. Multiple mobile homes caught fire, and one of them had been hit by the plane, according to fire officials. Clearwater Fire Chief Scott Earlers said that there were people who died on the plane and in the mobile home that was struck by the plane. 3 people have been killed, according to WFLA, and the pilot and 2 people on the ground were killed. Man, that's messed up. You just sitting in your bathtub with your rubber ducky, and then all of a sudden, kind of like these guys here. So I want to get you conspiracy theorists going, because I know all you guys know about Operation High Jump, etc., 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 excuse me. So like when things like this, I'm wondering how long it's going to be till the conspiracy theorist nuts are saying, you know, that the UFOs got the guy, or maybe some breakaways from World War II or something like that. But sadly, like the Titanic thing, where they were going down to look at the Titanic and that little thing imploded, and there was a couple of days that they tried to act like there was hope, even though everybody knew it had popped under the water. It seems like that happened again, but this time in Antarctica. An underwater vehicle went missing after it explored under the Doomsday Glacier in Antarctica. The 20-foot-long unmanned underwater vehicle, AUV, which is called RAN, was sent on a mission to study the glacier, and it disappeared this week. It was a unique vehicle, and there's only 2 similar vehicles in the world which contain technology and sensors which allow it to measure and document the conditions of the water underneath glacial ice for long periods of time, and is likely to cost about $3.6 million. Well, that $3.6 million is gone, and you know what? If you're on the other one, I wouldn't ride in it no more. I'm just saying, it's kind of like that Boeing stuff where the door flew off the hinges. No thanks. What's this one here? Could a rogue billionaire make a nuclear weapon? A decade ago, the Pentagon paid a team of experts to study the possibility of an entrepreneur or private company building and selling bombs. Their worrisome conclusions are even more relevant today. Oh my God. All right. I first learned of a secretive Pentagon-funded study about rogue nuclear entrepreneurs more than 5 years ago from Stephen Lukasik, a former head of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. We were talking about the Office of Net Assessment, the long-term analysis division of the Pentagon, famous in Washington policy circles for its predictions about the Soviet Union's military capabilities and then later China's rise. Lukasik mentioned that he had led several studies for the office, including one that looked at whether or not a private company or wealthy entrepreneur produced nuclear weapons. Now I've heard it all. You're going to have to worry about Zucker or Soros or Musk. Well, Musk has some rockets, so you might not want to mess with Musk. Imagine being named after like the funk that comes out of an animal's armpit. Hi, my name is Musk. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Musk. But Musk, what a weird name. I always thought that was weird. Hey, can I borrow some of your musk? I need to go attract the ladies at the local village, man. Anyway, back to the thing here. We worked out that private organizations would do it if it wanted to build and sell nuclear weapons, Lukasik told me. It turned out to be fairly profitable business. Intrigued, I asked if he would share a copy. A few days later, Lukasik, who I had known for 2 decades, sent me all 4 volumes of the study, which was completed in 2013. The report laid out in exquisite detail, including staffing levels and cash flow projects, how such enterprise could operate. It would take in as little as $1 billion investment, and in 5 years to produce the first bomb, the study concluded. Maybe we shouldn't have gave Iran all of that billions of dollars, man. I don't know. You think they might make a nuke, man? I mean, like, if it only takes like as little as $1 billion, and we gave them like a lot of $1 billion, man. Like, they probably over there like building one of those bombs right now, man. Because we gave them the money and the plans. Probably. Anyway, the report read like background notes from an airport thriller. A Bond villain-like corporation would set up a shop as a legitimate business, managing a series of nominally independent subsidiaries responsible for different parts of weapons production in locations around the world. One company, for example, would be responsible for the designing the centrifuges. Another would produce the highly enriched uranium. A third would produce a third would do the chemical processing. A company could even work directly with a rogue nuclear power. Would our hypothesized enterprise even go into partnership with North Korea or perhaps Iran? Why do they need to do that when both of those people already have nuclear programs? Oh, that's silly. When I first read the study in 2018, it struck me as a fascinating premise, but implausible. Nuclear weapons are the domain of nations for a reason. They require huge facilities, big budgets, and technical expertise you can't exactly advertise for on LinkedIn, but I think you can. I bet you can find a nuclear physicist right now on LinkedIn. Almost guaranteed. But now, just 5 years later, and more than a decade after the study was completed, much has changed in the world. Private companies have long been involved in building weapons, including nuclear weapons. But the federal government has traditionally been the one funding and controlling the technologies. Now, even the Pentagon acknowledges that private capital is the dominant source of funding for key technologies. Billionaires like Elon Musk control technologies they've developed outside of federal contracting, like Musk's network of Starlink satellites that can change the course of wars. Venture capitalists are flocking to the defense sector with Pentagon's encouragement. Aboard the Wagner Group, the Russian mercenaries firm whose global empire stretches from Europe to Africa, has shown the ability to threaten regimes. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un gestures towards the Hwasong-15 intercontinental ballistic missile, which could be armed with a nuclear warhead in 2017. North Korea was among the countries analyzed as potential partners for entrepreneurs in the Pentagon-funded report. Today, the idea of an entrepreneur and a privately funded company changing the military balance sounds less fanciful, and I wondered what participants in this study would now make of the conclusions. Lukasik died in 2019, and two of the others, Fritz Ehrmarth, I don't know how to say it, Fritz Ehrmarth, a former chairman of the National Intelligence Council, and Barry Wessler, regarded as one of the godfathers of the internet, have also died. Well, rest in peace. But most of the other contributors were eager to talk about it, even if they sometimes disagreed with the conclusions. There's no mention of Musk or any other U.S.-based entrepreneur. The study specifically includes American citizens in its tracking of billions who could finance such an operation. Let's see here. Brian Michael Jenkins, a contributor to the study and a senior advisor to the president of Rand Corp, said that Musk-like figures was precisely the type of scenario controllers had in mind. The what? The contributors had in mind. Excuse me. Freudian slip there. Military development has changed dramatically since the Manhattan Project, the secret World War II era effort to develop the first nuclear bomb. Building nuclear weapons no longer requires the scope and cost depicted in the last summer's blockbuster Oppenheimer. Entrepreneurs like Musk are able to build on a massive government investments in rockets and nuclear technology. Rather than starting from scratch, the study, Jenkins said, was intended to see what might happen when the barrier to entry to developing military systems is much lower. What could you achieve with $1 billion? What could you achieve with $10 billion? And is it really beyond the reach of some individuals? He said, well, in the case of Musk, it means you can put rockets into space without NASA. And that's the point of this. Miles Towns, who left graduate school to work on the study, told me that he still thinks about it every day. He said the study was sparked by the way gas centrifuge had lowered the bar to entry when it came to nuclear weapons. In the movie, spies turn over detailed designs for a nuclear weapon, but nuclear experts agree that what is truly secret is not necessarily how to design the weapon. Much of that exists on the internet or in the public domain. But the process necessary to make the crucial materials, like heavily enriched uranium. Countries seeking to enrich uranium, whether for nuclear energy or weapons, are increasingly turning towards gas centrifuges. And those basic centrifuges appear to be rather easy to make, perhaps so simple that they are within the reach of nearly any developing country. Wrote Scott Kemp, then graduate student of Princeton, in a dissertation that caught Lukasik's eye. Kemp's thesis led Lukasik to question whether such centrifuges were also within reach of private companies or perhaps a Silicon Valley billionaire. Kemp, now a professor at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, told me that in an email he was not aware of this thesis sparked a Pentagon-funded study. The actual study consisted of monthly meetings at Lukasik's suburban Washington, D.C. home. Approximately 10 participants took on parts of two opposing forces, a red team made up of nuclear entrepreneurs and a blue team representing the governments trying to detect and stop them. In between meetings, members were assigned to research the technical and political issues that might allow a private nuclear proliferator My best friend was the Alibaba website because I can find anything on it, like mass quantities of nitric acid, recalled Katie Leach, a chemist who was Lukasik recruited into the project. When the study was done, Lukasik relayed all the findings to its sponsors, Andrew Marshall, and legendary figure in the Pentagon who headed the Office of Net Assessment for decades. The study was never released or even disclosed publicly, in part because those who contributed believed that the final report was classified. 2 of the participants I interviewed said that they were told to remove any copies from their computers. I knew that Andy treated it as classified. Lukasik said of Marshall back in 2018. Marshall died in 2019. The Pentagon spokesman said that the report itself was unclassified but contains sensitive material that confined its distribution to a limited audience of senior national security officials within the Department of Defense. The office commissioned the study as part of an analyzing key trend and dynamics impacting the international system, the spokesman added. The pursuit of nuclear weapons and the proliferation of technology enabled that pursuit has been one such trend. Not everyone I spoke to about the study agreed that billionaires could or would want to operate a nuclear weapons business. After all, Musk's grandiosity led him to buy Twitter, not a uranium mine in Kazakhstan. And the Wagner Group, whose ultimate fate remains unclear, doesn't appear to be pursuing nukes. Jeffrey Lewis, a nuclear expert at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey, California, who wasn't involved in the study, questioned its premise, arguing that private companies wouldn't want to risk the exposure that bomb-making entails. The business case would not be by buying finished weapons, right? The business case would be for buying the production capabilities. Lewis pointed out that the Pakistan-based AQ Khan network of the 1980s and the 90s, which used a series of shell companies to sell equipment and know-how needed for the nuclear enrichment, sort of like the starter kit for a nuclear bomb. That's a much safer, more reasonable line of business, Lewis said. Think about this, though. We have so many people with so much money now. Could they or would they want to blow? I mean, what would be their benefit? Probably selling it to, people like Iran or something like that. Because we need, for some reason, to go bomb that country. Let's see here. What's going on in the chat? Would it be what it was? Why won't this come up here? Oh, there you are. You guys are hidden over here. Aha, there it is. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. I had to make sure it was muted before all of you guys heard all of the booger action. And it looks like we have another virgin in the chat. Mike Mont. I'm going to add you as a moderator because here at Mountain High Time, we believe in free speech. And that means nobody can mute you or ban you or whatever. Yes, thank you, Madam K. Tarot Cards. My haircut is done by me just a little while ago in the bathroom. Ever since I was 13, I stopped paying for haircuts. I just thought that was silly. So I just cut my own hair. Anyway, let's move on. Are we moving to the future? Are we there finally? Z, your thoughts. China unveils plan for chilling zombie brain chips to be implanted into skulls to rival Elon Musk's Neuralink. And I told you guys this stuff is happening so exponentially fast that even us people that are getting older are going to get to see some things that are going to blow our minds, that you're not going to believe was actually possible. Even though they predicted programming every one of us, from, you know, some of the baby boomers all the way into Generation X, and even, you know, the millennial group has been bombarded with their own version of the same thing. And then you got poor Generation Z being bombarded with some of the most immoral, weird things ever pushed on children. But here we go. China entering the race for the brain implant. Chimps into human skulls. The chips and salsa. The brains are your salsa. And they want to put chips in it. The country unveiled a chilling timeline to develop what it calls a brain-computer interface and aims to release the product as early as 2025. Hey, that's the same year that the Air Force said that it would be flying all AI crafts and stuff back in like 2000. Weird, because they're almost there. China has unveiled its plan at developing chilling brain chips. Why is it chilling for the Chinese to do it, but Elon's isn't chilling? That's weird. And just think about it. This is weird. I mean, unless you have epilepsy, you're blind in one eye, you're paralyzed, or something like that, that one of these technologies could actually help, I just don't see no reason to do it. That's just my opinion. But if you want to have faster speed, you want to have your iPhone 12 implanted into your head so you can get 12G out of your buttonhole, then be my guest. You know what? Speaking of this, didn't that guy, the chess guy, get busted because he put basically a robot up his butt and he got caught cheating? Ain't this like this? How can you ever trust anybody to do anything? You know, like all of those weird Karens that are on the internet, or they're out in public and they're like, "Don't film me, don't film me." What are you gonna do when my eyeball records everything you do and it's being streamed online as we talk? I mean, think about that. Because that's the world that we're living in, where I forgot the name of it. There's a really good sci-fi, I think it's on Netflix. I don't remember what it's called, but basically they implant basically something like this Musk Neuralink, so every single child is instantly connected to the worldwide internet that is controlled by somebody somewhere. Would you really want that to be going on for your children? Yes, it seems like if you could control your own network, of course it would be cool to have a in-brain HUD display that does mathematics for you and does all of this other stuff. However, I don't think that that's what this ultimately is designed for. I think this is just another enslavement tactic, and there will be some point, some singularity in the near future where the majority of people are connected into this Internet of Things via chips, phones, Wi-Fi, whatever it is, Li-Fi. And remember, they have other forms of this stuff. A lot of people don't even know about Li-Fi. You can get internet from the light bulbs in your room if it's connected. You can get information hidden that's completely around you. And think about this on top of that. What if you deny the chip? What if you deny the technology and you keep your children to deny it too, and their grandkids deny it? What you're going to have is a world where you're walking down the street and you're looking around and it's dark and you hear, the birds or whatever. You don't see much. But there's somebody else that their vision is seeing the infrared of everything. They get to see all of the Li-Fi codes going on around them. They get to, see all of the stuff that you don't see. So what we're talking about is really the separation of a superhuman type person that has artificially enhanced their evolution with trinkets versus a natural born living being. And what they want to do is violate that, the idea that we are a sovereign being that has our own thoughts inside of our head. They're not satisfied with ending freedom of speech or you being able to defend yourself. They want in your brain. They want to know what you're thinking. They want to know how to make you think what they want. And that's what this all amounts to. At some point, there will be a singular broadcast that tells everybody what they want to hear. Or what they want to tell them, It'll tell them what they like. It'll tell them what the laws are. They won't have to go to school anymore. None of that. It'll just be a bunch of automatons that report to their designated jobs. And at that point, you can realize that, well, we really don't need that many people. And just like them in China, doing this, you don't think that they're also planning baby factories? They're leading the world in some of the most trippy genetic research over in China. So when you continue to see the Western world and other nations' fertility rate drop to the floor, or as in America's case, having more immigrants than people being born, you realize that the Western world is going to crash. The populations are plateauing, and then they're going to start going down in the opposite direction. Population reduction, which seems to be the web of ideas of all these globalist elites, NGOs, all of these people, governments around the world. Their goal is to reduce this population, but they don't want to reduce it all the way. And now we're at a time when they're telling you, you do not need a father, you don't need a mother. We're going to erase the father and the mother out of legal documents. And then within 5 years of that, we will show you that you don't even need a father or a mother to make a human being. We can make a human-like entity from scratch. We can grow it in a factory, which is also being proposed. And then when you can't have children, you'll go to the state and ask for permission. And then they'll take your DNA and they'll mix it with your mate's DNA. But wait, as a special added bonus for only $39.95, we can put the anti-creative gene in it, or the anti-aggressive gene, or maybe that gene that makes you just not like authority telling you what to do. We'll just remove that. A whole total Gattaca situation where people are designing their DNA and forcing the public to also be within that designation of being designed. And then think about the predictive programming that's been going on with the movies. They've switched over, from just calling it aliens or ancients, and think about the more recent, the Aliens movie franchise, where they've introduced this idea of the engineers, which obviously is a portrayal of an Anunnaki. Right? The idea of an Anunnaki, at least. And they're not the only ones. What's that one? The John Carter's Mars or whatever. These weird, big, bald, blue-eyed, pale people that are behind the scenes running everything. I don't know. Is that where we're going? Is that the future of things on Earth? Think about this. I was talking about how the transhumanists might have a leg up on humans. Like, we're both walking outside, but they can see all kinds of spectrums. They're getting intel. They're getting signals. They're analyzing things. They can tap the internet. I'm just me with my brain walking. That can also be used in reverse as well. Everybody that has those little trinkets in their head, the chips and all that stuff, they can have their sensory perception turned off or turned down. So imagine a whole population where there are things that they can't see because they have figured out to program or censor in real time what you're thinking, what you're seeing, or what you're hearing. That's the real trip. And that's the real destination for all these technologies. Let's move on. U.S. Coast Guard searches for man sailing from California to Hawaii. Good luck. Probably shouldn't have did that. But hey, who are they? Why are they searching for him? Is just because he's old? Or it's surprising that you can still get in a boat and go somewhere in the world. And I bet there's a lot of hoops you have to go through to get in that. It seems like the only answer is maybe all of the Atlas Shrugged type people out there should all just get together and, start tying a bunch of 3-liter bottles together until we just build us an entire island like that dude did in Mexico. But look what happened to him. The Mexican government claimed his island. He built it from scratch, but they claimed it. Panamanians lost at sea. Count their lucky coconuts. More people lost at sea. 3 Panamanians who drifted in the Pacific for 11 days, surviving on rainwater and coconuts that floated by, have been rescued, the Colombian Navy said Friday. The trio traveled 600 kilometers, 370 miles, on what was supposed to be a routine run from Veracruz, about 25 kilometers outside of Panama City, to refuel a fishing boat. We gave it gas around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and then everyone took off. After a certain distance, our engine stalled, said Blas Olivardia, 30, in a video released to the media. From then on, our journey started with the north wind. It took 11 days, he added. Without supplies, they survived on rainwater and coconuts. The coconuts came in the current. We grabbed them, broke them, and ate them. Now, that's really lucky. Thank your lucky coconuts. So this got me thinking How are all of these people from Venezuela getting up here? Or any other country that's not land connected to us? It's no mystery to me how they get from, obviously, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, etc. But how are they getting across the Panamanian interface there? How do they do that? Well, people are shipping them there, right? People are shipping. That has nothing to do with these guys. These guys were fishermen. But what I'm talking about is the massive amounts of people that are coming from the other side of the Panama Canal. How are they getting across? How are these thousands and thousands of people getting across there? And when you figure that out, you'll realize that it is a global plan to remove, reduce, and rearrange, and maybe reinvent the population of Earth. 37 million at risk for flooding from blockbuster California rainstorm. As we were talking about earlier, the fun may not be over. The second and stronger storm of 1-2 punch will blast California with torrential rains, flooding, and a feet of snow in some places. Hot on the heels of the drenching storm and low-end atmospheric river that affected California from Wednesday to Thursday, a more potent storm, a high-end atmospheric river, will roll ashore Saturday night and Sunday with major impacts that will threaten lives, prosperity, and travel into the next week. And we ain't going to get none in New Mexico. Every time this happens, we don't get a drop over here. It comes, it dumps all over Phoenix, out there in the middle of the desert, and then by the time it's here, we don't get none of that. It sucks. Anyway, public awareness and storm readiness are strongly encouraged as life-threatening conditions may evolve in some communities. So this is one of those times that, if you live in one of these communities, don't be a riri. Actually go figure out if you've got drinking water. Figure out if, what are you going to do if it floods where you're at? Are you going to sit on your house with an empty milk carton begging for help from the Coast Guard? I hope not. I hope my audience, if you live there, you should maybe look into worst case scenario in case it is. Instead of the 90 people that froze to death when the weather got bad here a few weeks ago. Maybe you guys should think about, if you live there, planning ahead. Rare, high risk of flash flooding issued in Southern California as atmospheric river takes aim. For more, tune into the Oppenheimer Ranch Project on YouTube, and he'll tell you all about the good weather. Oh, this is the wrong page. Here it is. Actually, we got Oppenheimer Ranch Project in the chat room there. That's cool. USGS records 5.1 magnitude earthquake in Oklahoma. Prague. Oh, that's a horrible place. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry to the people that live there, but I've been to your town. It sucks. The U.S. Geological Survey says that a 5.1 magnitude earthquake shook the area of Prague and parts of Oklahoma late Friday night. The 5.1 earthquake was recorded around 11:24 p.m. with the epic center of the earthquake being in Prague, Oklahoma. They have little earthquakes like that there, though. We have them right here, too. I never feel them. I always see them on the map. 4 point something, something, blah, blah, blah. I don't even feel it. It doesn't even wake me up. Maybe one will come closer to me. Missing link. Is this true? Have they figured out where the water in our solar system came from? Let's check it out. Missing link that created water in our solar system discovered. Santiago, Chile. Astronomers have traced the source of Earth's oceans, rivers, and lakes back to a stellar nursery located 1,300 light years away. They're describing this finding as the missing link in the evolution of life as we know it. Is this where the fabled ice comets come from that we've never found or never seen? Oh, anyway. We can trace the origins of water in our solar system to before the formation of the sun, says lead author Dr. John Tobin of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. The international team discovered gaseous water in a substantial planet-forming disk around the star V883 Orionis. The star, located in the Orion constellation in the southwestern sky, was studied using the ALMA boy, that's a big name. Telescope in Chile, the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array. telescope in Chile. Upon examination, the researchers found that the disk contained at least 1,200 times the quantity of water found in all of Earth's oceans. The discovery could potentially aid researchers in identifying planets or moons that are most likely the harbor of extraterrestrial life. Scientists have previously observed that the transfer of water from clouds to young stars and subsequently the comets to planets. But is that true? Because as far as I know, I ain't a scientist or nothing, but I don't think that they've ever found a comet with water on it. So I don't know why they keep saying this. There's like a fictional comet that's out there that's just like this big chunk of ice cream, and it's vanilla flavored. And no, I don't know. But they say that. That's the theory, that all these comets, they plowed into Earth for some reason, gave us a bunch of water. And but as far as I know, that hasn't actually, but whatever. We'll just go with what they're saying. Scientists have previously observed that the transfer of water from clouds to young stars and subsequently from comets to planets. However, the connection between young stars and comets has remained elusive until now. V883 Orion is the missing link in this case. So are they going to tell me that they have found a water comet? Because I don't think that happened. But anyway, I don't want to spoil it. Let's see. In his media release, the composition of the water in the disk is very similar to the comets in our own solar system. Which comet is that? You mean they're rocks? I don't understand. This confirmation of the idea that the water in planetary systems formed billions of years ago before the sun in interstellar space and has been inherited by both comets and Earth relatively unchanged. Let's see here what they're looking at. I don't think they're correct here. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion. So dust material, molecular gas. So it appears to have continuum dusty material, H2O water, and C17O molecular gas. Let's see here. Observing the water was a challenging task, as the movement of the molecules is restricted when they are in a frozen state. Most of the water in the planet-forming disk is frozen out as ice, thus usually hidden from our view, explains Margot Leemker, a co-author of the study and a PhD student at the Leiden Observatory in the Netherlands. Detecting gaseous water is possibly due to the radiation emitted by molecules as they spin and vibrate. It is typically found near the center of the disk, close to the star, where temperatures are higher. Unfortunately, these central regions are concealed by dust and are too minuscule to be imaged with our telescope. Excuse me. I didn't mean it was imagined, but it might have been because, like I said, have they ever... Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think that they found any comet yet with water on it. I could be wrong, but according to them, I guess this water's just floating out there and, it's coming in sometime at some point somewhere in our past. But we haven't seen it in our time, but it's there. Don't worry about it. The most popular man in Ukraine. Now, this has got to be a good story. I bet it's full of cocaine, hookers, and blow. Oh, wait. Which one's the blow, you might ask? I don't know. That's up to you to decide whether it's the hookers or the cocaine. General Valeria Zalosky. Yeah, I'm not going to. Let's just call him Valerie. General Valerie is a national hero for Ukrainians after repelling the first wave of Vladimir Putin's invasion into the former Russian region of Kiev. But 2 years into the war, setbacks on the battlefield and political jealousies at the capital have soured their relationship with President Volodymyr Zelensky. This week, the president tried and failed to force out his commander-in-chief, pulling back a curtain on the damaging rift at the heart of the Ukrainian war effort. The dispute helps explain the indecision over military strategy that is worrying officials in Washington as they pile billions upon billions upon billions of your hard-earned taxpayer money over there, killing off all the Ukrainian kids, and soon they'll be wanting your kids to go over there and take up the war effort. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Their dispute helps explain the indecision that's worrying us when we're giving them all that money. Unwanted element of uncertainty at the point when U.S. military aid hangs over the balance. Troops are running dangerously short on ammunition, and Russia is on the offensive again. Zelensky could just fire his general, and that may well be the end of the game. One senior European diplomat who speaks regularly to Zelensky's team and said that they thought it's most likely that Zelensky here, I think that's Valerie, would be dismissed, and worried about a signal if it would send to Ukraine's allies. The commander met with his boss for a regular military planning discussion on Friday evening. Their dispute comes at a delicate moment for the president. An outstanding Valerie would be certain to hurt morale among both troops and civilians. Are they still fighting that war? God. Why don't they just let the Russians be Russians and the Ukrainians be Ukrainians? Except for the Ukrainians used to be part of the Russia, and then, there was that whole debacle in World War II. Remember when they was on the Allied side with Russia, but then they said, you know what? Never mind. We're going to side with these Nazi guys over here. Because we don't like Russians, so we're gonna hang out with the Nazis. We're gonna form our own SS battalion. Let's pretend like we forgot all about that. All right, let's forget about all of the CIA funding in Operation Gladio that helped some of those Nazi families retain power all the way into 2014 when they had their Orange Revolution. And this is what we get today. Anyway, Kiev, Ukraine, at the end of the bare concrete hallway in a building that sat empty until just a few months ago, a dozen men hunched over desks assembling pieces of black carbon fiber and soldering on a computer chip, a gyroscope, world testing, a final product, an explosive attack drone. And this is funny because if you've been watching me, I told you this was coming literally years before they started doing it. And now it's commonplace. It's so commonplace that they're writing articles about it like it's no big deal. From the cartel to Russians, to the Americans, to the Chinese, to the Iraqis, to the Iranians, to the Gaza, to the blah, 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 blah. Everybody's sending killer bots. Everybody's sending drones. And it's not that big a deal. It's almost like the remote control of the past, except for now we have a little computer that will help us finish off the flight and better signal and things like that. What's disgusting is who knows how far this is going to go. When they keep sending bots with basically C4 strapped to little drones to go blow up somebody so they don't have to do it face to face. I mean, at least even with the sniper rifle, you're looking at the cardboard cutout, human, that you're going to be shooting. So at least you know what you're doing. This is like, here, look, I'm playing a video game, boom. And then wait till they let the computer start deciding who the target is and who they want to kill, which is being debated right now. Don't kid yourself. There are going to be killer bots out there with autonomous thinking capabilities to decide who their target is and when and where to kill them. Anyway, this workshop in Western Ukraine is one of the dozens of startups producing cheap weapons that are helping Ukrainian troops against the Russians. Short on ammunition, with additional military aid from the U.S. stalled, Ukraine is trying to compensate by producing an army of millions of explosives, FPVs. No, not HPV, FPV. I guess that's some kind of papilloma virus or something. No, first-person view drones. The country lacks a modern arms industry, and even if they did have one, it got blown up. But that wasn't an article, sorry. That can sustain the war effort, and it would take years and billions of dollars before Kiev could produce any kind of artillery and missile systems needed on a large scale. But drones, which can be assembled from parts available at the commercial market and cost just a few $100s each, are comparatively cheap and easy to produce. Makeshift factories are now popping up all over Ukraine and churning out thousands of FPVs, drones each month. That's cool to make it sound like it's not a killer bot. Excuse me. The drones are then delivered to the front, where the soldiers attach explosives and fly them into Russian trenches and armored vehicles. They are guided by an operator using a controller and wearing goggles that let him see what the drone's camera sees. With our economy, we cannot make tanks, said Mikola, chief executive of Sparrow Avia, a drone production company. Our solution is to make drones. Well, what happens if Russia says, hey, that's a good idea. How about we take our billions and billions and trillions of dollars and make our own little factories with little bombs on it and fly them into your houses? Would that be okay? Actually, this is going to get out of control. And obviously, if you can put a little C4 explosives or some other kind of explosives on here, you could also strap it to a cable that fires a 9mm and, just think about that, right? Because you've seen the little robot dogs that you could put, and like I said before it happened, hey, look at that thing. That's cool. You can strap an AR to it. Oh, you could strap a bazooka to it. You could strap an RPG to it. You could strap a 203 to it. You could strap a 50 cal Barrett rifle to it. Ain't that nice? But you can make them smaller. You can make the main frame of this the same as the body of a small submachine gun. Think about that. So you saw the dogs with the big guns. Wait till you see little robots flying around just binking people. Pew, pew. Wow. That's the world you're living in. Russian police detain reporters covering Moscow's protests by soldiers' wives. Russian police on Saturday detained a group of about 20 journalists, including an AFP reporter, covering the protests in Moscow by the wives of the men mobilized to fight Ukraine. And as you can see, there's one lady with a picture. Have you ever seen the propaganda that goes on behind these type of pictures? Sometimes they'll get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people and they'll smush them into a little thing, and then if you see what's behind them, there's nobody there. It's all propaganda. Anyway, evidently they're locking up people, but I'm not surprised. We're locking up people here for what they say. People in England are getting locked up for what they say. All over the world, people are getting locked up for what they say. Because we live in a free human world. Freedom and civilization, right? Speaking of not really that, the Pope Inquisitor riles conservatives. Some call him a heretic. Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez has alarmed some Catholics with guidelines on blessing same people couples and a book on orangutans. I'm just joking. It's saying same sex couples and orgasms. Now, I don't know about you, but I've long counted out the Roman Empire. I mean the Catholic Church. Out of my mind as somebody I want to follow or be around or be with. And no offense to Catholics, because there's lots and lots of Catholics that are great people, good people, God-fearing people, all of that stuff. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is how did they get lulled into following people in an organization full of 300,000 pedophiles? How do you still go to the church knowing that there's like hundreds, not one, not 5, not 10, not 20, not 30, not 100, not even 1,000, but hundreds of thousands of pedophiles being protected with diplomatic immunity, never going to prison. I mean, it doesn't matter what organization you join. Once you found out a few pedophiles run it, why would you ever go back? I'm just saying. There should be a breakaway Catholic Church, in my opinion. People that believe in, I'm not saying that I'm Catholic or anything like that. Nothing against any of the denominations, excuse me. Whoa. Nothing against that, but maybe if you're a Catholic, you might want to start your own church. One with less pedophiles and all of that stuff. I'm just saying. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the other religious leaders in the other denominations don't have their fair share of over and over and over again pedophiles getting busted for raping kids. The only difference being those churches, the father, the pastor, whatever they are, they go to jail for being a sex offender. But for some reason, if you're part of that group, you get away with it. or they might pay somebody if they sued them. So this independent city state that's the remnants of the Roman Empire that became the Catholic Church has their own city, has their own banking system, has their own money, has their own diplomatic immunity, and is recognized by every country in the world as a sovereign nation with emissaries and diplomats all over the place. Oh, we're out of time. Sorry about that, Revolution Radio. Have to cut you off. Thanks for listening. Didn't realize my time was up. But anyway, like I'm saying, when you got millions of victims and hundreds of thousands of predators, maybe they should just start over. That's all I got to say about that. Yeah, I don't agree with any group, any religion that believes it's okay or it's forgivable or we'll just look the other way or he didn't mean to or any of that crap. If you're boning children, I think you should get the death penalty. I'm sorry. That's my belief and I'm sticking to it. El Salvador. They got a cool dictator. Anyway, that's all I got for this week. I have to get back to my sick family that probably, needs some stuff or whatever. I'm sick too, but we got to go, man. We got to protect them children. I'm just saying, I'm sorry if I offended you if you're a Catholic. I really am. And I'm not talking about you personally, but I am talking about your organization. I mean, it's hard to argue. I don't even see any logical argument you could come up with would say, well, I still go to the church because they're not all bad, just the management. Anyway, peace out. And thanks for watching. This has been Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin. Come back Thursday for mini Ice Age conversations. And next Saturday, I'll be here with another Mountain High Time. Peace out. And think about it. Everybody wants to blow everything up. So I'm going to leave you guys with this.
What a shot to the ticker. I don't think I'll ever have trouble waking up again. And there's the world's loudest alarm clock.